What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode number 115 of the TXR Podcast. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone brought in the new year with a bang. I'm your host, Invader, and I'm excited to kick off the first show of 2020. We've certainly got a bunch of topics that we can't wait to delve into, but first, let me introduce the great fellas in the Emerald crew. Who do we got here? Centurion, my friend. Happy New Year, man. Also, by the way, great show the other night on GRG. How you been?
Oh, doing pretty good, and thank you. I had a blast on GRG. Shout out to K Mega and the rest of the crew, because I mean they had me rolling. I was almost falling out of my chair.
Hey, you know what? Those are good guys. Like real
dude,
talk.
Yeah. So I had a blast debating with them and getting everybody's input on the subjects at hand in gaming today, and it was a lot of fun.
K Mega's a riot, man.
Oh, all the way. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good. I've kind of been on like a marathon of shows for the first of the year. New Year's Eve was what? New Year's Day was Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I've been doing shows every day in a row. So it's been fun.
Starting the year off strong.
Right now, I just gotta. Now after that, now that I took all down the Christmas decorations last night and everything else, kind of retook my home from the holidays, and now I'm going to be able to start cranking out content once again, writing articles and all that other fun stuff that I could take up my time with.
Well, you're like me. I usually take down the Christmas stuff after New Year, and so the dump's like two miles from us, and we don't have someone that comes to pick up the trash here. So, I had to take everything to dump, and it was just a mess. I had to take a mess.
Oh, I know. It's
because you don't have a truck or nothing, right?
Well, we have the SUV, so yeah. I mean, it works out, but still, it's a lot taking everything to the dump.
We're talking about the Lexo.
Yep.
The dump. Speaking of which, Jeremy, how have you been the past week, bud?
Good, man. Happy New Year, guys.
Speaking of that fucking mess.
He's got this green glow around him, just saying.
That's funny. Yeah, Happy New Year's, guys. Hope everyone had a great 2019, but I'm really looking forward to this year. I have a feeling it's going to be a good year for Xbox, so.
Wow, some positivity out of this guy. He's definitely drinking the Kool-Aid.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. Speaking of that, I have like 4 gallons downstairs of that shit. I need to get rid of it because that's
extra sugar,
dude. That's like crack to the kids. So no.
I like how Jeremy's all positive in the public limelight, but in the group chat we have. Oh my God, you see like
doom and gloom. Everything sucks. Oh, it's a disaster. Everything's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
It was a dumpster fire.
Oh, man. You know what? If I ever want a good laugh, I just I look into the DM and I'm just like, puts a smile on my face. Just start off the day. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that fucking picture that he posted of me. Thanks, you dickhead.
I can't believe
fucking Sharpay.
I can't believe
which one.
I can't believe you didn't think that was funny. Come on, Sal. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I do. But you got me thinking. I need some fucking filler or some Botox and shit.
I had a pretty good belly laugh at your expense. Oh, that was too.
Look at all this gray. Look at all this gray right here, man. Jesus, it's coming in thick.
Dang,
you're always so negative and stressing on everything. That's why you're a stress case.
What, Santa didn't give you any just for men?
He did not. I have some in the drawer still from California. Step my game up over there, but not over here in Montana.
No.
Alrighty.
No, it don't matter if you're missing teeth over there.
Southbound, exactly. Mr. West Coast. Did you bring in the new year with a bang?
You know what? It was actually pretty good. The wife and I went with her cousin. We went to some bar / restaurant, and it was like an old school like Vegas type restaurant. And they're famous for their steaks and prime rib and stuff. And man, it was the drinks were strong, and the meats were perfect. So yeah, we had a good time, and like Jeremy said, hope everybody else had a nice, time, Christmas, New Year. Now it's time to, the new year's fresh and everything's brand new. It's time to start fucking right.
Yeah.
Hey, did you eat more than like two spoonfuls this time?
Yeah, of course
Good.
I did.
Fucking asshole.
I ate three.
You probably ordered like the most expensive shit on there and ate two scoops and say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually did. I ordered a ribeye and steak fries, and I ate like 4 fries and like a quarter of the steak. So
horrible.
Yeah. But it's good though because I ate on it for like 3 days. I had like steak sandwiches and shit, so it was good. It was delicious.
Hey, what's a sandwich? What's that? Oh, sandwich.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Okay, hillbilly. Want to say sandwich?
Sandwich. All right.
Oh man. Too good, you guys. Hey, Shock Buddy, Mr. Shockley, ready for the first show of the year?
Yep. Yeah, I guess.
No, don't be too excited.
Yeah, he was like, I guess.
Dude,
like,
come on, Shock. Jesus Christ. You can say Jesus Christ, huh? Jesus Cristo.
Híjole.
Well, it's always a good day when the Saints lose, so I'm happy. So
good stuff.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I saw you cheering about that earlier on Twitter. You sounded pretty happy.
Oh yeah, it's always a great day when they lose, especially with how they lose. It's great.
Yeah, a lot of Saints fans
were alive.
Oh, too good. Yeah, no, I saw the score for that. That was pretty rough for the Saints. All right, just to let everybody know, Tim Dog will probably not be with us. He's traveling this evening, as well as Megatron.
Yeah, who cares? Show must go on.
Exactly, Jeremy. The show must go on. All right.
Dirtbag.
All right, fellas, let's delve right into it. And to kick off 2020, we've got a slew of rather interesting rumors making the rounds. One of which is rather big and spicy, one regarding spec leaks for both the next Xbox and PlayStation 5. And apparently, Eurogamer got their hands on some data they feel is legitimate, and they seem to have a decent track record with this kind of stuff. Now, according to Eurogamer, they have details on the GPU cores being used for both systems. And according to all the details, the information implies that the next Xbox, the Series X, is going to be packing serious firepower, and it will be more powerful than the PlayStation 5 if these specs hold up, with the Xbox packing the equivalent of a high-end PC GPU, according to the information. So guys, obviously always take these rumors with a massive grain of salt, but assuming this rumor proves true, Microsoft is definitely looking to be aggressive at the start of the next generation of consoles. Panel, what do you guys make of this rumor? Is the power title that important right off the bat?
You know what? I'm gonna jump in here real quick. So I'm not a big, spec guy, so a lot of it's super over my head. But I think at this point, when there's smoke, there's fire, and you're starting to hear more and more people, with these specs going around, 12 versus 9.2, and I just, like I said, when there's smoke, there's fire, and it's not just one person saying it. You're starting to see multiple outlets coming out with these specs, and they're pretty much on par with each other. So yeah, I'm believing it right now. But then to answer your question, I don't think the power really matters right now because
right.
The way they're saying it, it's not really a teraflop, issue anymore. Not like the Scorpio. It's the way they're using it is totally different. So even though the 9.2, they might run a lot better, than the Xbox, because right now I think what it all comes down to is the third parties, how they're going to develop for each system. So they might want to have it, have their games running, for the PlayStation versus the Xbox, because they anticipate more people buying the PlayStation than the Xbox.
Look, I'm potentially happy that the Xbox is going to have the power advantage coming to the next generation consoles. But like I said before, I don't care what system you're going to play on. All these games are going to look absolutely amazing. The real question mark. I think the real question mark.
I'm worried about price.
Yeah, right. But I think the real question mark comes into play here is if the studios that Microsoft picked up and Xbox picked up, what are they going to be able to produce? Because if the quality is like State of Decay or Fable Legends or Crackdown 3, they're going to get killed. They're going to get absolutely killed. So right now, who cares, how significant the power advantage is? That's
why I said about third parties. They're going to build them for whoever they think they're going to make the most out of.
Yeah, like they did with the 360. Absolutely.
Right, and the PlayStation 4, you know what I mean? So power right now, I don't think normally power doesn't matter until like the second or third year, in my opinion, when it comes to these console generations.
Mm-hmm. But the Xbox, right off the bat, this generation, they got creamed because of the messaging and
I think more than the power, it was the price point.
Price and weaker, so you're paying $100 more just to be less powerful. That was it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a slew of bad messaging on their part from their marketing and their higher ups and so on. I can't just say it was one thing, but definitely right out the gate, you're paying more money for a less powerful system. The image isn't exactly great, so I think by them posturing right off the bat with the title of the most powerful console, like it does certainly help when consumers right off the bat are trying to make a choice between consoles right off the bat of the generation. I think it does play into it a lot. Power.
It does, but it absolutely does, because if you look at the beginning of the console generation, with games like The Witcher, and you on the regular Xbox, I don't know if you remember how that looked between the PlayStation version and the Xbox version. It was like a completely different experience when you look at both of them.
And didn't Xbox have the marketing rights?
Yeah, and it wasn't until it looked almost unfinished. That's how bad the Xbox One version was until CD Projekt Red. Yeah, not until the enhanced day, they released a massive update for the actual Xbox One system, and even that was like, okay, now it's somewhat on par to the PlayStation 4 version.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely,
yeah.
But yeah, there was stuff, even like just counting blades of grass. Remember that in GTA 5 when it got released for this generation of consoles? There was a lot of interesting articles put out, and unfortunately, Xbox was losing the messaging there. And I want to see that go away. I'm not all about power. Power is meaningless if you don't have the games, right? Or if you don't.
Well, I think you point a good thing out is with the messaging, because I think that's a big knock against Xbox is no matter what they do, what they come out and say, they're getting murdered for their message. You know what I mean? Because it seems like they're not just tripping over themselves coming out the gate; they're shooting themselves in the other foot, trying to walk without a limp. It's crazy. No matter what they do, if they fumble something. So
and there's since the beginning of console, there's always been like a power narrative. I don't know if you guys remember, but like the original Nintendo and then the Sega, and then even with the 16-bit systems, those 16-bit systems, it was blast processing for the Sega, and then there was the Super Nintendo had this glossy look, and then when you went to the 128-bit versions systems with the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, it was that Sega Saturn couldn't do 3D and it was hard to develop for, and the PlayStation could do transparencies and the Saturn couldn't. So now I think what's going to happen is with the new systems coming out, it's going to be which one can hit the 120 frames per second, not necessarily the graphics the tech behind it, but just who can hit 60 frames per second constantly, who can hit that 120.
120 now that's going to be a bar.
Well, they said that Ori might run at 120 on the Series X.
I'm worried about the whole situation with power in general, because I'm glad that Xbox is going to have the power. I just hope they have the games, because regardless of what people want to say, I'm going to stand by my opinion on. At the beginning of this generation, obviously, Invader mentioned it. We had Grassgate, where people are counting blades of grass, and we had logos out there that 1080p makes you a better gamer. 1080p versus 900p. Apparently, people can tell 180 pixels with the naked eye, but for some reason, with PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, you can't tell.
But listen, there's some truth. There's some truth to that, though, because the reason why they say 1080p makes you a better gamer is because you can see the pixels far away, as opposed to maybe like 900p where it looks all blur. Something looks blurry. I mean, I know what they're trying to say.
But I mean, but look at Quantum Break. Quantum Break looked amazing. That was what 720.
Yeah, that was 720.
And not to mention, I'm just gonna say right now, I feel like Control almost looked just as good as Quantum Break looked just as good as Control. It's just their way of creating games.
Way to optimize it.
Yeah. For me, it's the whole idea of goalpost moving, because obviously, when Xbox had the games, the narrative was, it was an underpowered system.
They almost never had the games. I mean, I can't even. Maybe I could think of 1 year, which is the original year of the Xbox One came out.
Exactly.
That's
what I'm talking about. Xbox had the games when it first came out, because Sony did its typical thing of not having any games. Like, we all remember the PS3 era. If finding a PS3 game in the store was a unicorn. And the same thing with the beginning of the PS4 era. And so basically, to defend themselves or justify the purchase of the PS4, it became, we have the more powerful console. And then after Xbox came out with the more powerful console, it turned into, well, we have the games. I understand that Xbox fell behind on the games, but at the same time, I'm not going to deny the fact that there was powers at hand in Microsoft that were kind of undermining the Xbox brand, because they saw it as a drain to the company. And that's where I still stand by. Phil Spencer has done a good job. He's been able to turn the opinion around of the Xbox brand and the Microsoft company in itself. I don't care about public opinion, but Microsoft at one time was wanting to get rid of the Xbox because they saw it as a drain on the company.
No, you know what? That rumor was completely unfounded.
About a guy that was going to pick it up, that was rumored to be the next CEO.
What the hell is that beeping?
But that was my bad.
Somebody got a pressure cooker going?
Yeah, it was an air fryer. Yeah.
He's warming up his hot cocoa.
But no,
that rumor was all from a guy that if he took it over, what he would do with it, and he never became.
No, I'm talking
because I remember I asked somebody in the know, around that time, and they're like, "No way." They might, it might be spun off into its own, division or company, but it'll never be sold off.
I'm talking about the guy who was pretty much right before. Oh my God, what's the guy in charge now? Satya.
Nadella.
I can find you the guy's name because I have the article.
Yeah, we're talking the guy that was in charge before Nadella came in, and was pretty much at one time sitting next to Bill Gates, and though the guy was so old, he didn't really understand the concept of gaming, and to basically recover some of the money from the production of the Xbox One and also starting to design the Xbox One X, he canceled studios and all this other stuff with Don Matrix, and they saw it more as I don't want to say a drain on the company, but they didn't see the potential that the Xbox brand could bring, which is why
I think you got a little bit wrong, dude. Because remember, the guy who Satya took over for was I don't know why I'm drawing a blank of his name, but remember when the whole Red Ring of Death Bomber. The Red Ring of Death. Remember, he goes, "Hey, it's going to cost us like $1 billion to fix,"
exactly.
And he without even batting an eye, he's like, "Take care of it." So he backed up Xbox quite a bit. It was when Satya took over. He didn't know about gaming, and like you said, Phil had to sell him on it.
And that's what I'm just getting at, is that there's like, as whether people, regardless of who was at hand for the whole situation, there was people in the higher ups of Microsoft that didn't really see the potential in the brand. And it did create a lot of roadblocks and issues along the way when it came to getting games out, the system being underpowered, it being taken in a direction we never wanted, because all of a sudden they wanted to turn it into a television box.
No, that was a lot of Matrick and Terry Myerson.
Terry Myerson, that's the guy I'm talking about right there. That guy there.
He was just above Phil. He wasn't quite running. He was just head of like the
Windows
Surface. You're right.
Because
that was the guy that saw it as a drain, because he wanted to basically work harder on the Windows platform and the Surface platform, and he wanted all the money that was being used in R&D for the Xbox to be towards him, so he could basically make his division bigger.
Yeah, people don't understand when Don Metric left everything in kind of a shit show. When Satya Nadella came in, he didn't really see it as a, I don't know what to do with this. And he was even the next in line behind Matrick. It was forget his name, Mark Whitten. So he put Phil in place, but he didn't give him the same VP status like the two CEOs or the two heads of Xbox had before him. So he had the same leeway. So he put him under a VP Myerson to see over that Xbox division. So that's why he kind of saw that stalemate for so
Terry
long,
Myerson
where nothing was being
was
done.
very, very hard on Xbox, and I'm glad he's out of the way now.
Absolutely. Now, again, power is one thing, but I've noticed something for this generation, guys. There's a lot of articles that were kind of slanted against Xbox, for example. Do you think that Xbox needs to win over the media, the journalists, in order to make the next Xbox, the Series X, really successful?
Now, the only reason why that happens is because Xbox is not throwing money their way.
Exactly.
If you look at Sony, they spend a lot of money on marketing, tons of money on marketing, and places like IGN. This is why everybody's a Sony fan. All the journalists are Sony fans, is because who has the biggest pockets and who's giving them what's what.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with you, Jeremy, wholeheartedly.
Wow. I agree with him too. I just think it's BS that these gaming media journalists think that, in that case, that means that journalism isn't true. It can be bought. It's all based on a price tag.
No, but I mean, okay. Let me point to this way. I mean, a lot of the reasons why Xbox has my loyalty is because the way they treat their fans. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing if you think about it. It's just that they're not more focused on the journalists as they are with us fans.
See, that's where I like Xbox, is they're more involved with the fans, and they're not catering to the gaming journalism, and the gaming journalism is basically making them pay a penalty for that. And when you listen to some of these guys in gaming journalism, they act like they're above the fans. Like the whole idea of having
wait. Doesn't all journalists act like that in general? Just all journalists in general. Same thing with
because the whole narrative of having multi SKUs is going to confuse the fans because they're dumbasses and we're not.
Yeah, but how many different Nintendo handhelds are there? I mean, come on, that's
what I know. That's why I'm saying, like, the
how many iPhones, how many Galaxy phones are there? That's ridiculous.
Now, interesting comment in the chat by Shizno Elite. So, is the X1 a failure then from this gen?
No, because it made Microsoft a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, what did they make last year? How many billion?
Not only, I won't say it was a failure. Obviously, it had its hiccups, but regardless of people want to think, the Xbox One changed the gaming industry. It showed what can be done with creating a console that's super powerful, not using parts off of the shelf by using custom hardware like the Scorpio engine that's inside the Xbox One X. And also, if it wasn't for the Xbox One and Phil Spencer and Nadella trying to figure out how it fits in to the whole company of Microsoft, the idea of Game Pass may have been something that's never, because obviously PlayStation have PS now, but
exactly, because Xbox is pushing the boundaries. They're they don't have the brand loyalty that the PlayStation does, but look at everything, the risk that they've taken. Game Pass, you got backwards compatibility. Remember, Sony, they were like, oh, we don't need backwards compatibility. But
the Xbox is the first console that's considered a legacy console. It's able to play
they're pushing the boundaries. They're taking risks. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a failure.
So it depends what you mean by failure. I mean, just define what you mean by that, because on one hand, you look at the 360 and what that was able to accomplish with the first party games that were coming out and the third party they were leading in both categories. Xbox was, and they don't have that anymore. So at that point, you look at the games now between the games they had on the 360, which were, we're talking about some of the biggest classics, were first on the Xbox system, and they played better on the Xbox system. They had best of both worlds. And when you don't have that now, you have to supplement for other things, like the best, the best network, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And another thing too, I mean, obviously the messaging really hit them hard earlier on this gen, but they also slowed down their first party production. They closed a few studios. They let a couple go. I mean, things just kind of stalled out for them internally. So they've been rebuilding themselves for the past couple of years. Yeah, and kind of positioning themselves very nicely for the Series X. So
I think they're in a great position to take next gen by storm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count it as
at the pace I would like. No, probably not. But yeah.
A failure.
Even at the seat. A downer, like I wish they'd be able to create games quicker, but we need to look at the idea that when Phil Spencer officially sat next to Nadella is when the budget kind of opened up for him when it came to what they can do with the brand, and he bought as many developers as he physically could to create as many IPs as he could, but we all know that takes time. And so the games, we're not going to see, I don't think we're going to see a huge release of games until at least not even late 2020.
No, I'm going to say next
2021.
Year.
Yeah. 2021, we're going to start seeing the fruits of the labor. And from then forward, it's just going to get better and better, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan for them.
You have
you just got to look at, three studios that they're an Xbox game studio. Initiative, Ninja Theory, and Obsidian. Right there, just amongst themselves, or at least 2 out of 3 amongst themselves, have made some tremendous games. When you think of Senua and the Outer Worlds, right there, those 2 could push the Xbox into the future pretty good.
And we're all planning on those studios. We all know are going to be cooking up something probably pretty great for the brand. In my opinion, we also got to keep in mind that there's going to be some rogues coming out of the other smaller developers that they've purchased, because Microsoft purchased a lot of these developers with the intent of wanting to grow them into bigger development companies than what they already are.
Right.
Because they don't want to purchase these great big AAA studios that, that's why I'm kind of on the fence about purchasing a AAA studio, because when you purchase a AAA studio, you're going on the hopes and dreams that all the guys that are there that are cooking out great titles are going to stay with the company. But as we saw with BioWare, a lot of those guys moved on, and now BioWare is a shell of itself. EA probably played a big role of that.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, a lot of executives did move on.
But there's a difference between picking up a big company with nice, IPs, a la Sega or like CD Projekt Red or Bethesda, than picking up BioWare, who they've had some really nice games and nice titles, but a lot of those games and nice titles weren't really well. I don't want to say they're not well known. You know, and Bethesda is, you know, they have a juggernaut with the Elder Scrolls series, the Fallout series, and now Starfield coming out, which is going to be their own, you know, basically their own Star Wars game, RPG style. You know, why wouldn't you pick up a studio like that?
Bethesda's huge. I mean, I honestly think it'll take too much money. But that would be huge. That would be huge.
Bethesda's so big that they would have to have somebody probably help Matt Booty at that point, trying to control all these development studios.
Yeah, look what they did with Rare.
Yeah,
they bought
Todd
Rare.
Howard definitely would.
In that case, as a comparison, it would be like going back in history and the Roman Empire splitting up into the West and East because there's just so much to manage.
Yeah,
well, you know, how many studios does Bethesda have? 6 itself?
About 6 or 7, something like that.
7, but I think
buy them and then
Mike
everybody leave.
Mike at Next Level Gaming, he brings up a good point. Is Double Fine said they wanted to do a AAA game. Double Fine makes great games. I don't know if you've ever played a Double Fine game, but they make fantastic titles. And that was a good pickup by Xbox.
Oh yeah, do you guys remember the arcade games that they made exclusively for Microsoft back in the day?
I remember, but then you have Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend.
Oh my god, those games are great.
Jack Black.
I think the issue when you pick up one of these big AAA studios, like not that Rare was, I guess they would be considered that at the time when the Microsoft bought them, but 30 of their top employees just walked when they bought them. So all that talent just up and left. You just bought the name. Whereas if you grow a smaller studio,
you didn't buy just the name. You bought the IPs, which Xbox, they didn't do anything. There's always someone can always be replaced. There's enough talent out there, especially now with the gaming industry. There's up and comers. There's a lot of talented people out there that can do just as good as job. You know, do you want to work for those companies? And I think you're going to see that now with probably our next topic with Vince Zampella, you know, with DICE.
Zampella.
Oh, Zampella. I'm sorry. I call him Zampella.
Like buying Kojima Productions, but Kojima walked away. It's like, okay, what do I got left?
Now, you know, it is appearing though that Xbox, from the sounds of things, and I do believe where there's smoke, there's fire, and there does seem to be some credible reports coming from certain well-known outlets. Having the power crown though at the start of the generation, does that help Xbox?
It does, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It all depends, because you know what helped Xbox a lot with the power is when their engineers would go to different game studios to help, you know, get the most out of their game for the Xbox system. That's what helped a lot.
Okay, but you got to take into consideration, is this system going to be easy to develop for? Because if it's
right, that's the number one. That's the number one question right there. If it's easy to develop for, and it's easier to develop for that versus the PlayStation, that should give them a leg up.
So you'll see around the initial launch of the Xbox Series X, you'll see you know, these reports coming out on which system is easier to develop for and which one they like the most. You know, you'll see all that come out at the time of you know, of these launches.
Yeah, just some interesting chatter.
Point, so they got to be easy to develop for anyway, compared to the cell processor power PC that they used to.
Obviously, yeah, no, just some really interesting news hitting now, and obviously we're into the new year, and we're bound to get more information as time goes on. What is it tomorrow? I believe CES is coming, that big show, and yeah, people are expecting.
I think we're gonna get a lot of news. Yeah, we can get a lot of news.
Yeah, David Preen said he was going to be there. That's also very curious, I might add.
Why would he be going there?
Yeah, Tommy says he's going too, so he's gonna, you know, get some info on the system coming out in television.
Now, what do you guys think of Sony teasing their briefing with "the future is coming"? Do you think they'll show off anything PS5 hardware related?
It's time. It's about time they do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out more tomorrow, guys. But either way, just very exciting. I'm gonna move on to.
There's too many leaks right now for them to not to actually come out and say something.
No, there is a lot. There is a lot of leaks and even like updates on their controller too. There was another leaked. Well, I wouldn't say leaked, but there was another image, another spec leak for their controller with bumpers at the back too. So maybe that's the new PS5 controller. Either way, maybe they'll show something off there. We'll find out more tomorrow, guys. And we'll move on to other news. And like Jeremy was saying, it looks like Respawn's Vince Zampella is getting a very big promotion. So in a big move, the head of Respawn Entertainment will now be overseeing DICE LA. Now, guys, who are DICE LA exactly? Well, they basically do a lot of DLC work for Battlefield. Absolutely. Yeah, they've been basically for the past 5-6 years, they've been relegated for just Battlefield support studio, which
Well, yeah, I mean they cleaned up Battlefield 4 from the mess that was.
No, they did phenomenal work there. But guys, they were also formerly Danger Close Games, and they were the ones that had rebooted the Medal of Honor franchise.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of talent there, I think.
Oh yeah, I think I definitely support that as well. And now Zampella is going to help kind of remold and reshape the studio into creating a new image and its own games, that is very encouraging. So, fellas, I gotta ask, what do you guys think of this move by EA? Because it seems like EA is actually interested in expanding their games portfolio again.
Now, this guy is an up-and-coming developer, Vince. And
up and coming. He's the one that they created Call of Duty, bro. Come on.
No, but now everybody knows. Now he's like a household name.
Well, yeah. Well, remember when Titanfall first came out, people were shitting on him like, "Oh, he wasn't. He ain't a developer that he used to be." Blah blah blah. But Titanfall was a great shooter, and it was very tight.
Great game. That sold Xboxes. To be honest.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
So
I mean, Titanfall 2 is still one of the best campaigns I've ever played.
Right, and then I think Apex was excellent. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was awesome, and now I think he wants to rebrand DICE to make it more attractive to the employment market. I think sky's the limit for Vince. He's extremely talented.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say that what they're gonna do is kind of split them up to do a Titanfall 3.
I don't know.
I don't think their team's big enough to work on a Titanfall and Apex at the same time.
No, I think they're going to continue with the Apex brand, but
but people still want another Titanfall iteration.
Do they really? I mean,
yeah, I think it's coming.
But it's good to see that they're wanting to start investing and keeping some of these studios going, because EA is known for being the company that will kill a studio very quickly. They ended Visceral Games and a number of other great studios over the years. So it's good to see that they're actually kind of restructuring, getting someone over there to help grow them back into a juggernaut of a studio. Because at one time, DICE, with the Battlefield franchise was awesome. I understand DICE LA did not create the actual Battlefield franchise. They've just helped support it. But that's where it's a good thing, but it's also kind of a trepidatious over the fact that he is the original creator of Call of Duty. And I really hope that they're not going to try
Medal of Honor as well, right?
Yes, Medal of Honor as well. And I just hope they're not going to want to try to take the Battlefield franchise down that Call of Duty road, because that is one thing that over the years, you have Battlefield and you have Call of Duty, and they are two totally different kinds of games.
Right.
And that's what people like. The difference in between the two.
Well, like it was said to me, that Battlefield is more of a battle simulator, and Call of Duty is corridor
huge
maps
shooter.
So yeah, definitely. I just hope, but obviously he has some good ideas. He's able to push things in the right direction. Like, look what he did with EA with the Star Wars brand. Before Jedi Fallen Order, people were demanding that the Star Wars brand be taken away from EA and exclusivity. They didn't want EA to have exclusive rights to Star Wars anymore. They wanted other developers to have a chance at creating it.
Disney, I mean, they rule with the iron fist when it comes to, the Star Wars IP. So yeah, the last few, Star Wars games from EA were kind of lackluster. And now Jedi Fallen Order is just a mega hit. And no wonder why they're expanding Vince Zampella's,
and the funny part
reach.
is, you say that they're lackluster. Look at the Battlefield 5 when it came out, or even Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 was received better than Battlefield 5, which was received kind of horribly because everybody was burned out on World War II because of Call of Duty in the previous year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny that all those games weren't exactly received well. Battlefield 5, the Star Wars Battlefront games, which were created by DICE, which is probably why they want Vince Zampella over there to help kind of rejuvenate this developer and get them back at the top of their game.
Yeah, but the DICE that made those games are out in Sweden, so they're not really the DICE LA that he's taking over. They like I was saying before, they help more with the back end of a game after the game is launched, shipped. So they sweep up. They're a cleanup crew.
But here's the thing. Start off small and get bigger. Obviously, he's still going to be in control of Respawn. So maybe they're just starting off small, seeing what he can do with DICE LA. And it might grow into something bigger.
And that's what I'm saying, because I think that he's going to, they're going to be a Titanfall 3, and I think DICE LA is going to have something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, do you guys think that we'll, knowing the pedigree of Zampella and the studio itself, do you think we'll see a first-person shooter come out of this? Maybe another Medal of Honor, or I don't know, guys. Do you think we'll see something along the lines of like you guys were just saying, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Lots and lots of praise for that game. It's selling like hotcakes to this day.
I think there's definitely a sequel. When anything makes money and sells a lot, they all automatically is. It's just like a movie. They always think sequel. So.
And I'm surprised how well Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was received, even though that character was god awful in the game. The main character in the game, horrible.
Yeah, and then he doesn't move that well, in my opinion. No. But they took a mismatch of so many different genres and games that you could tell.
Dark Souls,
Dark Souls, God of War, Uncharted. You could see all the DNA in those games. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? It's like they took the best of each genre and threw it into a Star Wars game, and you could totally tell. But it works. The game was really, really good.
Yeah, but Vince, I had a chance to meet him a few E3s ago. He has the.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he has the personality to attract awesome talent. Right. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with soon here shortly.
And that's good. That's funny, because he is a nice guy and you root for him. I met him a few times, and had a chance to talk to him at length about different things, and like I want the guy to win so bad. When Titanfall 1 came out and it wasn't that well received, even though it was a really good game, because just for certain reasons, I felt so bad because he's made some of the best Call of Duty games ever came out.
Yep, absolutely. And those games back then were tight.
Right.
Very tight. Now it's interesting, guys, because Respawn and Titanfall, they were very instrumental in helping Xbox out within the first 6-7 months of the launch of the console, because Titanfall was the big shooter that they were showcasing. And, it's in a way, it's kind of a missed opportunity that Xbox game studios didn't acquire Respawn. Obviously, EA was, deep into
EA had the inside track on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame because I strongly felt that Titanfall was like strongly associated with the Xbox brand. It just kind of seemed a real shame, like them getting away.
So like their next,
you know,
like Gears, Halo.
And EA has made some great moves, acquiring these studios. It's just, what have they done with them?
Yeah, they don't know what to do with that after they get them. They're like, oh, okay, so we'll make a sequel, but it's too much like the first game, and then people they don't like it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was completely blown away by Titanfall 2. I'm going to be upfront. I loved the connection they made in the story mode that you had with the mech.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I loved that game.
No, it was a great game. Single player was excellent. Yeah, for sure.
That I will say, I got addicted to doing Frontier Defense with my brother and his kid. We just sit there for hours just doing Frontier Defense, as hardcore as we could go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, they definitely, they did some good there. And EA were smart to acquire them when they had the chance. So, good on them.
And now it's finally paying off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not yet. It's too.
Well, no, you don't think with Titanfall 2, Apex, and Jedi Fallen Order?
Well,
you don't think
Apex is making them a lot of money. I mean, EA. That's their cash cow. So, as for the single player Jedi,
and isn't it crazy how Apex came out of nowhere? So all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's a game coming, and then it came out the next day, and it was free. And you're like, what? No way!
And it was a great game too.
It was polished as shit too.
Yeah, Apex is a great game. They did a good job with that one.
Yeah,
and you can see EA just like
licking their chops.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. That came out of nowhere, especially when you saw games like Fortnite dominating the scene. There's a couple of other free-to-plays as well. Yeah, and PUBG too. A lot of people there's only so much room for these types of games. Obviously, got Black Ops 4 as well that have focused very much on their blackout mode, their battle royale mode. And yeah, this game, they dropped it. They announced it like a week before it released, something crazy like that, very short time period. And everyone's like, well, what's this? Apex Legends, Titanfall related. And yeah, it just kind of blew everybody away. Like first couple of months, it was dominating. I don't think the player base has been as fervent, but dang, they keep releasing updates, adding content. And, I got to say, hands off to them, to Respawn, because, I want to see more Titanfall eventually. I mean, I'm not huge on Apex Legends personally, but it's very competent. It's a very competent game. And a lot of people I know are still addicted to it this day. So, yeah, hands off to Respawn. I wish them the best. Vince Zampella as well. And I can't wait to see what he has going on over at DICE LA because, I want to see more games. And usually with his name to it, it's going to be a good one.
It'll be fun to see how they respawn into a new studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what name they choose.
Actually, that was pretty good.
All right, guys, let's move on. And over the past week or so, there's been some very, hot rumors and speculation having been running through with talks of ZeniMax Media possibly being bought out by somebody. And this somebody is apparently Sony. Now, again, everybody take this with a massive, massive teaspoon of salt. But allegedly, Sony has been in closed doors talks with ZeniMax Media. Now, while stating this, ZeniMax holds a large sum of big studios. These studios include Bethesda Softworks, Arcane Studios, Machine Games, id Software, and Tango Games Works, just to name a few. Now, guys, what do you think of these claims? Because, look, I'll be honest,
I'm just gonna say right now, bullshit. Because Sony can't afford it. I mean, Microsoft can, but I highly doubt it would open up. I don't think Sony can afford it because you're looking at $6 to $8 billion.
No, you're talking more than that. It's acquiring these ones like 8 to 10, 8 to 12. I think we'll see.
Well, it's gonna be at least 3 times as much as Microsoft paid for Minecraft.
Yeah. No, obviously it's gonna take.
You got too many studios, too many IPs. It'll cost. They'd rather go. Anybody would rather go and just buy CD Projekt Red.
Well, it'd take an enormous pocketbook. I mean, never say never, but I Sony just.
I just don't think they can afford it. Yeah, I don't think they can afford it.
Outside of the cash situation, sorry, Downer. I just wanted to put out outside of the cash situation. ZeniMax is aren't they very well known for creating online based games? Have they done anything outside of online?
Not really.
See, and that's where I'm just standing by PlayStation. It's one of their shortcomings, whether people want to admit it or not. They have no first-party studio experience in making successful online games.
Well, ZeniMax is just a parent company. I mean, the crown jewel is Bethesda. That's what controls everything.
And those
is it just ZeniMax or Bethesda that they're looking to purchase?
Right, it's Bethesda. They're selling off, which was right.
Well, did they regardless of being able for them to afford purchasing it, what if they took out a loan, whatever, they put all their assets on the line to purchase this? Do they even have the manpower to actually manage a company like Bethesda? Because as like we were all talking about,
I don't think that's a problem. I just think, like I said, the cash flow is the issue, because you constantly hear rumors about Sony wanting to sell off their movie division. So if they're trying to do that,
it wasn't that. So look at Sony spent a lot of money, and they spent a lot of money on stupid shit. So, you see Sony, especially last year, they tightened up. That's why you didn't see them at E3. A lot of it had to do with their budgets. There was no, PSO or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what their holiday
PSX.
PSX. There was no. They're tightening up how much they spend. Now they had more. They were purchasing more than what was coming in. And what was killing them too was what South said was the movie industry. They were making a killing off that, and that's what they were spending their money on. Go look it up. And now, since they tightened up, they have the money. They were profitable last year, and they were profitable the year before they were leaking money out of their what. So they're in a good spot to buy another company. That's why you've seen them go out and buy Insomniac. It's not a bigger move than
how much did Insomniac cost them?
I forgot at the top of my head. But it was more than what Xbox paid any other two studios. I know that for a fact.
Well, yeah, because they had to pay for what Insomniac is worth, and Insomniac's a big company, so that was worth it. And
so,
I'm kind of jealous. I wish Xbox would have bought them, but it is what it is.
But I'll tell you right now, when they buy someone like ZeniMax.
Speaking of which, Jeremy, remember when we ran into Ted Price after E3?
Oh, he's like, oh my god, you remember that shit?
Huh? Because I thought it was what's his name from Gearbox. For some reason, I don't know. It was dark. I was drunk. Whatever.
I was embarrassing.
Randy Pitchford?
Yeah, I thought it was Randy Pitchford for a second.
No,
it was a couple blocks away from the convention center, and I was like, "Hey, when we see a new what's it called?"
He looks at him like deer in the headlights, bro. It's like,
yeah, it was stupid. Yeah.
Now, hear me out on this. Let's look at it like these developers are like cars. We understand that Microsoft is not buying, Ferraris and Lamborghinis. They're out there purchasing like Ford Focuses and your average everyday vehicles. But
you want to get that 100,000 miles out of the car,
and not only that, but
until the transmission blows. No, I'm just kidding.
When you own a Ferrari, Lamborghini, a luxury vehicle. Working on those things is expensive. Maintaining them is expensive. So just don't look at purchasing a developer as a one-time purchase and they all operate on the same cost levels. You know, like sometimes like just buying a massive AAA studio, you got to also have the bank to keep that studio going, because they're going to have a higher price tag behind payroll. The overhead is going to be even bigger, all that stuff. And, you know, even the tech to keep that studio going, because, you know, they're obviously going to want to create experiences that blow our minds, because that's what a AAA is. And that's not cheap to do, because you ain't going to do it on some subpar PC. These guys need really good rigs to create these games. And that's where I'm just saying the overhead on these AAA studios is pretty massive as well. And that's why with Insomniac, maybe Sony took a big risk, and all their money right now is wrapped up in Insomniac and maintaining them. And that's why, you know, if you purchase Bethesda, you're going to have to keep the company going. You got payroll and everything else.
Well, yeah, but Bethesda is a company that it pays for itself.
Exactly. They have enough assets and cash flow coming in now with their multiplayer experiences where they're not worried about money. Bethesda's not worried about money. Come on, let me tell you that.
Definitely not.
So they've done a good job in destroying the fans' opinion of the company.
No.
Yeah. No, if
they came out with another Fallout tomorrow, it would sell 1 million right out the gate.
Exactly. But you know, everybody's allowed to screw up 1-2 games. You know, but Bethesda's always been consistent over time.
Fallout 76 was bigger than a screw up. That was a complete letdown.
Not really. Honestly, there's still a lot of people that are playing it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's still a lot of people that are playing it, and they're still bringing in money.
And the problem was the issue is the people that they wanted the paid subscription for, that other people could get the same shit for free. That was the problem.
Yeah. There's been all kinds of like game breaking stuff with that. Didn't they just release an update where like it broke the game?
They're always because it's a continuous online game, so there's always going to be patches and problems, you know, when it comes to that. But you know what? Fallout is known for its bugs, and people love it regardless. So I don't think it's going to hurt anything.
Now Bethesda was the company that was heading the way of the single player experience, and everybody was hurrahing them at the beginning of this generation. They were even on the top of my list as being one of the developers for this gen, and they've done a good job I don't know. You don't have.
They're still a crown jewel.
Bethesda is one of the few companies where somebody literally went out and hijacked a website to tear that company down. That's why I'm just saying.
You heard that for what, 3 days, and you haven't heard nothing since.
What about the Fallout 70? Well, I'm pretty sure Bethesda completely was able to definitely get some lawyers involved and do what they had to do.
You don't throw pebbles at a giant and expect it to hurt them.
That I just don't know, man. They had a lot of stuff around, because I bought the $200 version of Fallout 76. I was one of the people.
That's why you're so pissed off.
I'm not. See, that's the thing. I'm not completely butthurt. That's where I wasn't one of the people.
Did you ever get your bag out of it?
No, I did not sign up on the petition. I did not join that lawsuit or any of that. I was not given my 500. Whatever the bomb credits or whatever it is, that the in-game currency. I didn't get the actual proper bag. I still have the faux bag in my closet. Was it kind of crappy? Yes. Was the helmet kind of subpar when it came to its construction? Yes. But I'm not going to sit there and completely boohoo about it, because
that's not a Bethesda issue. That's a there's two separate entities right there. So when you buy a collector's edition, it's totally different. Bethesda has nothing to do with that. That has to do with the distributor they go with. Bethesda should take care of that. But whoever's like distributing the collector's edition, that's totally separate from what Bethesda's doing.
And if that's the logic, then we got to say that Microsoft is not responsible for what happened with Scalebound and other games, because Microsoft let a developer run amok and they didn't keep them in check. Just like Bethesda should have been there and said, hey, we want to see at least one of the helmets that you're putting out along with the bag. We want to make sure that it's everything that we want, because we want to keep our fans happy. That's one thing. Like when you're a corporation and you're outsourcing like that, you have to basically keep it within check.
That's a bad example because the people who makes Platinum Games, who makes Scalebound, they've never made ever made a bad game ever. I can't even think of the top of my head one bad game they've ever made. So I give the benefit of doubt to Platinum Games. I'm sorry, but I mean maybe there was some development issues and they were just bleeding money. But at the end of the day, they canceled on a game that and a developer that they have a proven track record of making great games.
In that defense, though, to play devil's advocate, Platinum Games put out a number of games within the years they were supposed to be producing Scalebound. It seemed like it was not a priority for Platinum Games.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what about that like that Transformers game they did? I don't think that got a very good reception, if I'm not mistaken. But no, the other games though, I mean, what was it? The game that they put out just this fall, Astral Chain, was getting all kinds of rewards, right? So
Centurion, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you give up on Scalebound, which Platinum Games again is they have a proven track record of creating great games, but then you release garbage like Crackdown 3. I mean, really? I mean, what would you rather have?
Here's the thing. We're able to base that off of what we got for Crackdown 3. All we have are rumors and conjecture on what Scalebound was. From what at least the rumors say, that Scalebound was an absolute mess when Phil Spencer went and looked at it and decided to pull the plug on it.
So Crackdown wasn't a mess.
But here's the thing to look at. If Crackdown was a mess, I can only imagine what Scalebound looked like. It had to be a complete disaster. If Crackdown made it out...
Well, it's known, industry wide that Scalebound, before it got canceled, was specifically working up at Redmond. They were working on it themselves. So it was a huge mess.
See, that's why I'm going to be upfront. Like, Phil Spencer had enough love behind the Crackdown brand to push that game out, but Crackdown literally was the last game of the old regime. Those were the games that survived the Terry Myerson and Don Matrix developer killathon. And so that's where it's, I really don't know how to really look at the games that came out, like State of Decay 2, Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, those other games, because those games were made during a time of turbulence for Microsoft. There wasn't a whole lot of money going around because there was, again, people that didn't think the brand was very viable. So they kept a tight grip on the coin purse until Phil Spencer was able to sit at that table with Nadella and get them to kind of loosen up a little bit. And that's why I was glad when Crackdown 3 came out, because it was
as soon as Phil got a seat at the big table, that's when, doors started opening up for Xbox.
Yeah. And that's where I'm just stating that I was happy when Crackdown came out, because at that point, that was this is the final game from that whole turbulent time. And we're able to kind of go forward. And, we already saw the first game that came out after Crackdown, and that was Gears 5. I know not everybody here is completely praying to that game, but it was not Crackdown 3.
It's an okay game, but it's definitely much more polished than Crackdown. Because Crackdown was what, 7 years in development.
Oh, and then also let's look from another perspective on Crackdown. When Epic Games bought the developer that was creating the Wrecking Zone, the whole cloud powered multiplayer, the cloud gen, basically Microsoft was literally at this point scrambling, trying to create a product. Maybe they should have at least scrapped the multiplayer and just put out. Ambitious. It was too ambitious, but not only that, but we all know that Microsoft was in a position where they could have took that developer to court and basically sued the pants off of them for basically kind of just walking away on a contract that they had on creating this cloud gen tech. And Microsoft decided not to do that because they already knew that they had too much money in Crackdown 3. Should they have just taken Crackdown 3, put out the single player experience for $30 and washed their hands of the rest? Probably more than likely.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny? You bring that up about,
you know,
suing them. I'm surprised they didn't take Platinum to court and, you know, recoup their money. They could have bankrupted that company.
See, and that's where it's just, you know, even Platinum Games came out and wrote kind of a halfway apology letter acknowledging what they did to Scalebound. And that's one thing, even though regardless of Platinum Games pedigree, they came out and admitted that they messed up.
Well, they had to.
Well, yeah.
They had to save face, because when it started coming out that, you know, all these developers were taking leaves of absence and you know, mental stress days and blah 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 blah, and you know, it would just seem like a nightmare on all fronts. And Microsoft could have taken them and sued the hell out of them, but they didn't.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you know, it's kind of a sore spot for me because I was looking forward to Scalebound, and I do have some merch, but
I still wear my Scalebound shirt, you know, regularly. So yeah,
what is that?
I remember going to Fan Expo in Toronto a couple of years ago, and I was wearing my Scalebound shirt, right? I go to the Microsoft booth, and a couple of the guys running, I think it was the Forza 7 booth, they're like, "What are you wearing that shirt here?" You know, what? It was like a sore spot. I mean, the guys were just kidding around. You know, they could tell I was, you know, big Xbox
Here's
fan.
the big question, if I may ask. With all the talk about Scalebound, Phil Spencer and the rest of the executives have to know how much people really wanted this game to come out. And, you know, how do we not know that out of these 15 developers they own, that somebody in a back corner office somewhere could be potentially working on this game just because of the amount
No, you had to rip that Band-Aid off and let it die.
I think it's a metric, baby. He's like,
I don't know.
Because I mean, am I tripping, or did they let the IP go, the trademark?
I don't think so.
See, that
seems to me. Maybe it was a different game, but I thought I heard some about.
Now, do you guys remember when the trademark surfaced again? And there was like hoopla on Twitter.
They thought it was going to be on the Nintendo.
Yeah, everyone was going crazy.
See, that's what I mean. Like, if I was at least kind of one of the executives at Microsoft on the Xbox side, I would have to say there's enough hype for the game to justify at least opening up the software and seeing what is really there, because technology has changed. Maybe we're getting to a point now where a game like that could be possible. And it's just one of those things where, you know, I'm going to say for sure that Microsoft would not dare say the Scalebound game, the Scalebound word, unless they actually physically had something to show.
Well, there would be a couple of things. Like, I'll be honest, I mean, I wouldn't mind personally. The issue would be which developer would work on it, because, you know, you'd want a very competent developer working on that sucker to polish it. Second, would you want, I mean, personally, I would like to utilize the Xbox Series X, because I don't know if you guys remember, but when they were showing off Scalebound, that game had terrible frame rates, and it just
That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm saying is with the Series X, we're going to have potentially groundbreaking games just on the experiences alone because of the tech involved. You know, we're going to be having consoles at 9 teraflops, 12 teraflops. We're going to have some experiences that weren't able to be done before. And
movie quality experiences. Yeah.
And I'm not saying the initiative would be the company to work on it, but there is enough talent in the initiative to justify at least opening up the software and seeing what exactly is there to work with.
Man, the initiative has a squad of all-stars.
Oh my God.
Now I'm actually kind of curious, guys, like how much of that game was finished, because I mean, they had good chunks of it done from the looks of it. I mean,
yeah, if I were to guess, I'd say probably 80%.
See, that's what I mean. The assets are there. You already have all the labor and money poured into creating it. So it's not like you're going to have this huge development cycle. You're just going to have to take what's there and get it working.
Now, the only thing, in my opinion, that was a question mark with Platinum Games was the online aspect of Scalebound, and they've never handled
player co-op.
Yeah, they've never handled a project like that. I don't think ever, as far as the online functionality of Scalebound. So I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Maybe that was a big part of it. That's why they scrapped it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to crack that would have been big. Because like I said, I heard a couple months before it was scrapped that people were working on it in Redmond and they were just like up in arms, like, what do we do? Like they had no idea what to do with it. Because obviously they tried to clean up the mess that Platinum's made, and from there it was just a shit show to downhill.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think the first time it was shown, it was great. The second time it was shown, the multiplayer aspect of the game,
right?
It was
and that's when it got murdered.
Fucking disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because wasn't Phil playing it at E3, and he's playing co-op. Yeah.
I guess from whatever Phil Spencer played is the whole reason why he wanted to can the game, because many years.
That wasn't it. It was a development cycle, and they hit a wall with it.
See, I was just with Phil's. It was what he saw, what he experienced, how much time they had wrapped up in it, and all the money, and they just like you said, hit a wall. And at that point,
yeah, and they already dumped too much damn money into the game where it was just a complete loss. They know they can never recoup their dough. So,
well,
hold on one second. South, you remember at the E3 when Scalebound eventually got canceled? The face on, I forgot his name, the head of Platinum Games. His face. Do you remember that? His face.
He was a dickhead.
Oh my God! You said hi to him. He didn't want to say hi. He was just a complete douche. And
yeah, if I wasn't friends with people at Xbox, he wouldn't have said nothing to me. He wouldn't, he would have never talked to me.
Who are we talking about?
Kamea.
Who is he?
The head of Platinum Games.
Okay.
We seen him at E3, and he was just had a shit face on. He didn't say hi.
Well, remember at that time he was blocking everybody on Twitter, and and cussing people out.
Isn't Platinum the company that does Bayonetta?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he just basically said the Nintendo menu looks like shit. That was his words exactly.
Yeah. Actually, he's brutally honest.
At the time, it did look like shit.
No, this was an article just from the other day. Like he just said this very recently.
He did say that.
It still looks like shit. I would agree with them.
Well, it's funny how we moved on to Scalebound, but guys, I'm gonna wrap up the ZeniMax conversation. So I think we're all in agreement here that probably it's probably just a bunch of smoke and hot air about the whole ZeniMax Sony thing.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Invader. If let's say hypothetical, if they do pick them up, you're talking about game-changing, stuff here.
Yeah.
If Sony or Microsoft picks up ZeniMax, it's a game changer, and that's the bottom line.
Let me expand on that one second, real quick.
Go ahead.
If ZeniMax is really, wanting to sell, they'd be stupid to just say, we're in talks with Sony. They'd whisper something in the field. They're like, hey, we're thinking about letting it, and Sony's very interested. And I think damn well Phil will be on the phone with Satya that minute, like, hey, we're gonna lose a big chunk of land, so we need to move quickly.
If I may also throw one last thing, sorry, Invader, but regardless of it's Sony or Microsoft, if Bethesda is up for sale, one of those guys need to pick them up before Google or Amazon, because if Google or Amazon acquire Bethesda, you have an automatic superpower in gaming overnight.
The only problem with that is they don't have the system to supply it, to actually put it to work, and for it to
With
be
Stadia,
console exclusive. Yeah, I don't think it's that they could really sustain it.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. The one company I'm worried about is Google because of the Stadia. And if they acquire Bethesda, all those games become exclusives overnight and they're all stuck on that platform. And it would break my heart because of Fallout and ESO and Elder Scrolls in general. I mean, like, it would completely break a lot of people's hearts.
There'd be a fucking riot, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
But you know what? This is what I'm worried about. And I'm worried about a couple things. Is number one, what happens if Xbox does not make any moves going forward? And somebody like an Amazon and somebody like a Google picks up one of these big time companies like Bethesda and like CD Projekt Red. And I worry about that. Is Xbox going to be left behind?
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. It would behoove ZeniMax to create a bidding war and get the most bang for their buck.
See, if it became a bidding war, that's when Sony would be Xbox, out of the picture.
Right, and I think the Xbox, to have the financial with to take care of it. You know what I mean? To close the deal at the end.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, again, it'll be interesting. I've heard both Sony. I've heard murmurs of Microsoft. Hey, again, Amazon is definitely getting to the thick of things, and you never know who might spring up, right? But anyways, fellas, I'm going to move on to our next topic, probably our last big topic for the evening. And we've got some interesting news coming out of the studio, The Initiative. Now, since being established back in 2018, they've been very secretive on what they've been working on. Now, in a recent Game Informer interview with Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty, some info got dropped, stating that Booty tells me we'll learn more over the next 12 months, hinting that we may see a reveal at E3 2020. Also, design director Drew Murray also chimed in, saying that they've been getting help from other internal studios, namely the Coalition, sharing.
Oh, if they're getting help from the Coalition, I'm running for
Well,
cover.
you know what? Coalition, they know how to use the Unreal Engine. So, because if you remember, the Coalition actually helped 343 also.
Yeah, they've been doing some things, but they've been sharing design features and so on. And they've also been the first studio of the Coalition to actually play the game, to test out the game. So, very interesting there. But guys, definitely, there's some tidbits dropped there. Are any of you surprised that the game is this far along already?
No, not at all.
We don't know how far
the game has been playable for at least a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't know. I mean, we still don't know how far along it is. Who knows?
Honestly, I would say that it's not really a launch title for the Series X, but damn close.
Hey,
I say first quarter 2021.
What if they fucking come out in June and say, "Hey, surprise! Our game's coming out launch day one."
It would be a surprise, but honestly, not really, because I think they're pretty far along in development.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised they are where they're at, and they're still hiring. Guys, only, a week ago, coincidentally, they nabbed another big talent from, Sony Santa Monica.
Well, because you know what? Listen, I'm going to go on a limb and say they're working on multiple titles, not just one.
Because they picked up an environmental artist, Eric Jacobson. Like, they keep nabbing guys from Naughty Dog
like I said,
or Tony Santa Monica.
They got people from the Tomb Raider developers. They got, like you said, Sony, from God of War, Sony Santa Monica. Well, they got an all-star team, and like I said, I think they're working on multiple titles.
So, okay, this is why I disagree with you guys, whether or not how far along it is. Number one is you got to remember this studio's in Los Angeles, and the California labor laws are much more different, much more less strenuous than they are in a different state and a different country. These guys work 8 hours a day and if they work overtime, they have to get paid if they're in the state of California. Now, it's not like,
but that's only after 40 hours, dude. Come on. I mean, there's no slave labor going on, but like I said, they've had a game that's playable for over a year. And I know that for a fact.
And Microsoft takes pride in the fact that they don't have crunch issues in their studios.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like everybody that's had initiative so far are very happy, and they're touting it.
If they don't have crunch, maybe that's why they.
No, every company has crunch.
Well, I'm saying the crunch issues, and I'm saying that's one of the reasons why the initiative has probably scored some of these big time developers, because like literally who would want to work for a company that allows you to have no family time, no personal time? Microsoft, I'm pretty sure they have times where you got to kind of go, to the wall and grind hard, but they don't have the crunch issues of like people being locked in the office or turning off the AC and all this other stuff. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, it's definitely not a Rockstar situation.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm really curious to see what kind of a game they're making. I mean, I would like to presume some kind of a like third person game, some kind of like
action adventure type.
Something like that. I mean, there was some. There was some.
Well, if you go off the developers that they've hired, that's all come from like the God of War, Tomb Raider, background, the Insomniac type. It's definitely a third person action adventure.
And wouldn't you guys laugh if they're the ones that are creating Fable?
That would be shocking. Honestly,
that would be. You know what? I thought about that I think about that from time to time, but I don't know. I just think that Fable is such intrinsically like they want to keep it British in some form that I really do think Playground is working on it.
They're gonna come out and tell us that they've been working on Crackdown 4.
Oh yeah, the big quadruple
realistic one.
Yeah,
no cell shading.
Oh, it is. What if I wonder if they're going to address something in their in Microsoft's catalog that they just don't have for IPs. Like, wouldn't it be interesting if they were working on, let's say, like a third-person horror game, like maybe something similar to Silent Hill? Would any of you be down for that?
I love good horror games.
Nah, I think the horror games are too niche type.
I didn't want to say that. I'm glad South said it before me.
It limits their selling, potential. Like I said, I think it's going to be a kind of Uncharted type game.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it limits the selling potential because if you look at the if you look at the age of the average gamer now, it's a non-factor. It's something like 37, 38, something like that. No, I'm not that old.
It happening because it's kind of like it's a risk for your first game to come out and be a horror game.
Not if it's good.
It could be a suspense game, but an actual horror game, no, I don't see it happening.
You see that I'm kind of right there too, because of the fact of how Microsoft is. They want to create a game for everybody, and a horror game does kind of put it like to where some people aren't going to want to mess with something like that, because
Centurion, when you say that, you get my hopes down.
I'm just saying I hope they do something great. I'm just saying it's not going to be nothing on the scale of like The Evil Within.
If they're creating a game for everybody, then eventually they're going to have to address that at some point, like the spooky psychological thriller game. Like,
see,
really,
I understand that everybody wants a mature rated game, on the Xbox from their first party studios. But, I'm a big movie buff. Could you imagine how much money it would cost a title like Star Wars if it was rated R? Like, you got to basically sometimes, make a title that, is mature, but isn't so mature that it's going to kind of nick some of the audience that could participate in that game. and it's kind of that way in the movie.
There's always the other side of the coin to that, because look at like a Joker or a Deadpool type, you know what I mean? Like,
dude, there was, but I'm glad you mentioned Deadpool, because that was one of the biggest things, was why they had a hard time making those two movies, was because of the rated R rating, was that they were really worried about the money that they were going to lose. Obviously, it was well received. They made a lot of money. They saw the potential.
Well, they knew it was going to be well received when that trailer came out. The screen, the test footage.
I know
as soon as they knew that blew up, no, they knew that they had a hit on their hands.
I know what you're saying, but you don't lose money. You lose sales, but you don't lose money. There's a difference between the two.
Okay, well, yeah, but that's the idea. When you look at sales, that's what the only thing is like when you look at sales numbers, and when your sales numbers drops because of PG-13 versus rated R, they don't look at it as a loss of sales. They look at that as a full loss of money, because that is potential revenue that they're not going to see.
Well, what I'm saying is you're not. It's an arguing point, but you're not losing money potentially. You know what I mean? It's just,
But I understand we need an adult
You guys are
game,
right.
but I'm just hoping whatever they're cooking up definitely kind of, basically makes everybody happy. But I don't know if it's going to be horror based.
No, it's definitely going to be a mature game, but it's not going to be horror based. And it's something that the Xbox is sorely lacking right now, and it's going to scratch the itch that most Xbox gamers have.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. Well, definitely something, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to rival Naughty Dog in some capacity, right?
That's what I said. It's going to be like a Last of Us type, or Uncharted. Some definitely photorealistic, graphics, and
Naughty Dog came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they were making these Crash Bandicoot, and now all of a sudden they're making these mature titles which were bigger hits. Well, Crash Bandicoot was huge, no doubt.
Yeah. With the little kids, Crash was huge, and then when Uncharted came out, or Uncharted 2 is actually the one that blew them up. Uncharted 1 wasn't that good.
Yeah.
See, Naughty Dog is a perfect example of what Microsoft is trying to do with a studio. They want them to start off small, creating great titles that everybody knows and loves, and eventually grows them into the powerhouse that we see today.
Oh, they definitely want to make that a two-team studio. That's going to be a two-team studio, no doubt. They're doing that with basically all their teams, all their studios. Like it's
look at Obsidian. Obsidian's working on 3 games right now.
Well, Obsidian's a big developer. They're a big dev.
Yeah, well, and I love that they're letting them work on a passion project while also working on something that Xbox wants. You know what I mean? To keep the developers happy, but also keeping the bottom line happy.
And that's another developer I've never played a bad game of theirs. It was Obsidian. I've never played a bad game of Obsidian.
Right? But didn't they make a Star Wars game as well?
Oh yeah.
One of the.
I would argue to say the Sith Lords was just as good, if not better, than
Knights of the
Republic. The only thing was people were shot on the ending, man, of Knights of the Republic. They're like, that ending was the craziest ending ever.
I never really played RPG games, so honestly, my first big RPG game was Mass Effect,
and that's a good one, very good one.
Yeah. That kind of because I always hated dialogues you had to pick and all that. To me, I like a continuous game. You know what I mean? So when Mass Effect came out, it was kind of revolutionary for me and got me into that. And then from there, I went to Fallout 3. So
you skipped 2.
What?
You skipped Mass Effect 2?
No. I'm talking about Mass Effect 1.
He was talking about 1.
No, but then you went to Mass Effect. You said you did Mass Effect 1, and then you went to Mass Effect 3.
I said.
I know. I know you meant.
3?
No,
I meant Fallout.
Yeah, you meant. You said Fallout. He misheard you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm just. Never mind.
Yeah, you got me confused. I'm like, well, I thought I said Fallout 3.
I thought he said Mass Effect. I'm like,
no, Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games I ever played in my life.
See, yeah, I'm definitely. Mine was with KOTOR. And I remember going into a GameStop when Mass Effect, the original game, came out, and being convinced by a GameStop employee, because back in those days, that's when you could listen to them and they would show you the right things without having to, be sold something because their manager told them to sell it. But anyway,
hopefully that changes with the new console generation, that they're not so biased towards one, allegiance.
But I remember I was convinced to buy that Mass Effect game by a GameStop employee, and I took it home and I was completely mind blown.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something about GameStop.
Oh boy.
Think of it was cutthroat. And if you weren't hitting your numbers, they'd fire you. And if you're a manager, they'd fire you. You weren't hitting your numbers.
No, that's
they'd
the only
get
thing.
rid of your fucking ass.
And that's the only thing. Like, my wife has been in retail for years. I understand the whole idea of numbers, how many people walk through the door versus how many people that buy stuff. They don't care how many people are in the store. If you ain't selling nothing, you get definitely passed on in a second. And the funny part is, though, that isn't the employee's fault. That's the actual corporate mentality of basically trying to make an employee essentially hold a gun to someone's head to make a purchase. And it puts it in an awkward position. People are constantly worried about their jobs as a result of that. And it creates a stressful work environment. And we all see now that mentality is literally going to put that place out of business in the next 5 to 10 years.
And and that's why I stopped working. Stopped buying from GameStop. Is anytime I went to go buy a game, I said, for what? For PlayStation? No, Xbox. Why? And I was like, dude, what does it matter? Am I spending your money?
I play head games with the GameStop employees at this point. When I went in to buy my PS4 Pro because I knew I was getting it, I thought I'd joke around and ask the employee, convince me to get a PS4 Pro. And he looked me right in the face and he's like, well, there's no difference between the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. That was what he started off with. And he noticed the change in expression in my face. He's like, what'd I say? I was like, you lied to me.
No,
you lied to me.
No, he didn't lie to you. Some of them are just trying to sell you, and they're not informed on what to sell you on. No, that's what it comes down. He didn't lie. He didn't technically lie to you.
Maybe not. But I'm just saying, if you can pull up your phone and read the specs on both consoles, they ain't the same. And that's what
I'm saying. You know the difference. Come on, fuck out of here.
I'm just saying it blew my mind when he's like, there's no difference. And then I was like, you lied to me. And he's like, and all of a sudden he reaches in that bag of pony tricks and Xbox has no games. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're just going to go with that.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Now, guys, moving on, will probably be our last topic of the evening, just what we've been playing for the past little while.
You said that last topic, but okay, whatever.
Well, I said it was going to be. No, you weren't paying attention, my friend.
What the hell?
That's true. Everyone else heard what I heard, right, guys?
As long as we're not here for
like another big topic.
Come on, get your shit together, Invader. Let's go.
All right, I just want to know what we've been playing. Just something very quick, easy to get.
Let's get out of his bathroom.
Tear down Invader for such an easy topic, guys.
Now, we gotta get Shockley in here. Shockley, you haven't said a damn word for like an hour. What's going on with you, brother? Shockley.
I know he's been having issues with his browser.
All right. Okay.
Shock.
Marco.
Polo. So look at
shocked he's not saying anything.
So my favorite 2009. That's a tough one because I can tell you what's not on my list is Gears of War 5. Talk about a disappointment. But
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure if Rod and team will ever get their shit together over there, just like Mr. Duncan at Rare. But as far as my favorite game of the last year, I'm really enjoying Death Stranding on the PlayStation. I think Remedy's Control is good. Luigi Mansion 3 with Invader. That Luigi Mansion's fun, right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Thank you, Invader. Thank you.
No, it is like just a pure pleasure of a gaming experience.
The Outer Worlds was great. I'm still working on that one, but Death Stranding's got my my attention right now. Resident Evil 2, but if I had to just pick one game, it'd probably be Sekiro. I think just the level design, the difficulty and gameplay was just top notch. If you guys haven't played it yet, you guys got to play it. It's excellent.
Which game?
Yeah, I want to play it. Sekiro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe one of these days.
Sekiro.
He said Death Stranding is got a lot of his attention, which is probably why he just seems so calm and
because he's a boring person. So yeah, walking around with a big package on your back is fucking great. I'm not saying it doesn't look great, but to me, I don't really care for walking simulators.
Look at the game is boring. Yes, it is boring. It does.
Oh my God, here we go. It's the game of the generation, but it's boring, just like all the gaming journalists.
It opens up later, but I'll tell you this one. There's an addictiveness to navigating through the terrain, and you actually feel tension in the game when you see the enemies in the game, and obviously, I just had a good time with it, so I'm still having a good time with it. I think it's a good game.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna check it out.
You sound like a guy trying to, stick up for a fat chick he's banging.
Or sell a used car. Yeah, I've done that.
She ain't that pretty, but you know what? She's fun to hang around with.
Yeah, I've said that before. You're right, Sal.
Too good. Centurion, what's some of your favorite games of 2019?
Some of my favorite games of 2019. Wow. What if I actually will say I will put Control out there. I enjoyed playing Control. Jedi Fallen Order. Yep. I'm trying to think of all the games I've actually made time to play this 2019. Man, I've just been all over the place, honestly. I've also been playing a lot of my backlog, like trying to finish up all the DLC for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I finally finished World War II, the Call of Duty World War II.
Hey, what did you think of the campaign?
I actually enjoyed the campaign. It was good. Definitely different. I enjoyed it. I'm a big World War II fan. I will definitely say like you could also see some of the actors that they had in the actual campaign, because they like the one guy, I forget what show I've seen him in, but like the second in command before a dude died and he became like the main commander of the unit. But what was another one? I finally finished Outer Worlds. I even kind of been dabbling around with that Into the Sun. I remember you guys putting that in chat. That's how I found that game. Like the game that
Into the Sun is kind of like BioShock, right?
It's kind of like BioShock. Yes, it's definitely a walking simulator.
I'm not familiar with it.
Into the Sun. The story is your sister went to be on this massive ship called the Helios, which is operated and owned by Nikola Tesla and his corporation. The game revolves heavily around Nikola Tesla. There's actually a museum on the ship dedicated to him to kind of educate you what he's done. It's definitely a walking simulator. You're not like using weapons or anything like that. You're solving puzzles and just doing a story.
Call it a walking simulator, but
no, not by any means. Because at one time, like there's times you're running down corridors, running from somebody trying to stab you, and if he gets a hold of you, I mean, you fall to the ground and you got to stare, dude, while he's like stabbing you multiple times, killing you, and then the game kind of resets back to the checkpoint, and you kind of go from there. But I've also been getting back into what is it? Jurassic Park Evolution. Nothing like a good time waster of a game where it's kind of like Zoo Tycoon, just more adult rated. But hey, if you guys haven't checked it out, I know it's still in Games with Gold. You should really check it out if you're into something like that. It's
game will go for January, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Games will go for January.
Yeah, and I actually have enjoyed it, but I mean, like, you know, it holds your hand at first, but as you start getting to the other islands, it gets more and more difficult because you got to worry about all sorts of stuff. Like you got to worry about hurricanes coming in and just destroying everything, dinosaurs running amok and eating people, just all that stuff.
Sounds fantastic. Southie, what were some of your favorite games of last year?
Honestly, Jedi Fallen Order was probably the top of my list. Controls great.
Yeah, Southie likes that Barbie's Adventure and Barney.
Hell yeah, Barbie's my girl. Don't even hate. Nah, you know what? Layers of Fear 2 was really good.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, so top of my list is definitely Jedi Fallen Order. I'm stuck on fucking what's his name, but yeah, I've had a lot of fun. It's kept my attention. I'm not big on like puzzle games because I'm a little bit dumb, but yeah, I figured them out eventually. So it's kept my attention.
Don't say that.
I'm a little slow, but yeah,
sad. You make me sad.
No, yeah. So that's pretty. Oh, you know what? Also was good because it came out this year too. It was Ace Combat 7, right? That came out this year.
Yes, yes, that was a
I'm
fantastic
actually playing that one
game.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be my two top of the list. Gears, I wanted to love it more than I actually did, so I haven't finished it.
I was so disappointed in Gears. I just wanted
it started off really good, but you know what? I just feel like playing as Kate, it's kind of you feel shoehorned a little bit, like it's forced. Like the coalition is trying to stay woke in this Me Too movement. It's just like I said, it just
it's almost like they don't know what to do with Gears. It's almost like they don't know what to do with the content. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just seems like you got these big, like it didn't need to be this open world game. No. You know what I mean? Gears is notorious for being, notorious for being, on the rails, a linear game, and trying to open it up into, an open map. It was a little bit weird to me, and it just, these big ass, set pieces felt empty to me. Especially when you get to like the red part of the planet, you know what I mean, and all this desert just seemed like it was so like just spacious and spotty. It was too much.
Now, if I can ask a question, when you said shoehorned, how about the end of the game? When it comes to never mind then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, towards the end of the game doesn't make up for all the fucking the rest of the game.
Maybe Downer will understand at the end of the game when you got to make that choice. It almost
I know about the choice. Yeah,
it almost feels like you were shoehorned into choosing one person more over the other just because of what they did with the character.
What they did previously, yeah. Well, because they made JD look like a dirtbag the whole fucking first half of the game,
and not to mention, Dell was with you, and at that point, you're just like, no, Dell's my buddy, JD's the a-hole. Where's the knife at?
Right. Yeah, see, and to me, that when it comes to that decision, I'm always going to pick JD because this Gears is it's a Phoenix game, and it should stay that way.
And also, I feel like the ending is more emotional because, like, when you actually see how Phoenix reacts and that whole thing, when you like, I mean, you're just like, holy cow! This whole war with the Locusts has literally taken everything from him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are some interesting spots to it, but I mean, I do feel kind of like I'm kind of torn with the way that they are taking it. Me personally, I don't really know how I feel. Like Kate personally doesn't really do anything for me.
No, she's kind of bland. You know what I mean? For her being like, the granddaughter or whatever, and supposed to be like the chosen. To me, it feels forced.
Well,
and she's not interesting.
It's weird going from like you play as JD in the first game, then
just from the original trilogy, Marcus always felt like a beast. Kate doesn't feel like she's just like meh, whatever. Like she's not.
They have
nothing special about it.
Yeah, they have absolutely no idea what to do with the characters. They have absolutely no idea what to do with the world of Gears. It's just a disgrace. I'm tired of fucking what's his name. I'm tired of Rod. He needs to get some good whiskey.
Yeah, I know. You always say, "Oh, you're drinking too much whiskey and shit," but no, I think Rod, he does well with running studios, obviously. You know what I mean? But I just when it came to the story of Gears 5, it's so far, I'm on Act 4, so I'm almost done with it. But yeah, it's just I can't. I don't have man. I want to finish it. You know what I mean? I haven't really I'll get to it.
It's so depressing, dude.
See, I don't want to tear. I liked Gears 5. I like the story. It definitely.
You don't love it. All right.
I'm not gonna.
Right.
But I mean, you found out more about the locusts in this game than you did in any other game. It felt like at least it wasn't a hollow game. People weren't receptive of Kate, but at least there was still the story there. They actually made something that you kind of were interested in, kind of knowing what was happening. And then by the time you do get to the third planet, the red planet, it obviously that whole idea of just having to rebuild the Hammer of Dawn and all that, you kind of felt like the story was almost paused until you get to the main city and
fixing the satellite or whatever the hell it is, when you had to fix the rocket. To me, that was so boring. Oh my god!
I will say that the whole satellite thing, and then the final act, it got a little bit more interesting and
well, how many acts is it? Is it 5 or 4?
There's 5.
4.
Okay, all right. So yeah,
there's 5.
I'm pretty much through Act 4.
So Act 5, you get access to the Hammer of Dawn, and it makes it a little bit more funner at that point because you're just wreaking havoc with it and everything else. And there's actually a really good boss fight at the end, involving the rail guns on the city and everything, and it gets really fun. But it just does feel like the story itself takes a pause until you make that decision of either JD or Dell. And then from that point forward, obviously you start kind of ending the whole game out. And then, you have that climactic ending, especially if you pick JD. And it just does feel like there's a big moment of story gap.
See, and I think that's why I'm kind of lagging, because it seems like no matter what I choose, they're gonna force you in the next game, and it's not gonna be what I chose.
See, that's the only thing I don't know, because if we talked about Mass Effect 2 earlier, in the beginning of Mass Effect 2, they nonchalantly got you to it was kind of like an interrogation, that whole thing of oh, you had amnesia. Let's talk about the choices you made. Did you choose to save the council or kill them? Oh, I saved them. Did you choose to kill Rex or save Rex? They kind of somehow manipulated it to where you were able to answer these questions that were lining up the decisions you made into the second game. And I think it's going to be something on that scale of when you start Gears 6, of where they kind of that whole thing of, do you remember the events and blah, blah, blah. And you're probably going to have that question of yeah, I had to choose to save blah, blah, blah. And then at that point, it's going to set the game up, because in my opinion, you're going to have either Dell or JD standing next to you, and you're going to have the person the decision you made at the end of the game reflect who's standing next to the queen.
I think they could just take your saves, unlike last gen with Mass Effect PS3.
Oh shit! Look who's back. Nice.
There's another guy in here.
What's up? StreamYard has so many technical difficulties. If you're not using a computer, it's I can hear you. You can't hear me. I don't know.
Are you using Chrome right now?
I tried using Chrome. Chrome tells me to use Safari, if I'm using my phone.
Okay.
It's an Apple phone, so I don't know.
All right. Well, Shock, what were some of your game highlights from last year?
Yeah, I would say last year, probably my 2 favorites, which were up for Game of the Year, were probably Sekiro is probably my favorite one, even though I haven't finished it. I've gotten halfway. And Resident Evil 2.
Yep.
Definitely, that was my highlight. I used to play the Resident Evil 2, OG 1 million different times on all different platforms that it's on. Just trying to think what else came out after that long summer drought where there wasn't shit. I think I've just started in Borderlands, so I can't really give too much on that yet. But I would have to say Sekiro is definitely my top one.
Ooh, we gotta play some Borderlands 3. Shock.
Yeah, Borderlands. I
I
forgot
just got
about
it
that.
on
That's
its
another
holiday
game.
sale. So
Yeah,
I think Centurion plays too. We gotta
I do
get a
too,
game
man.
going.
And I'm gonna still say it. I'm still what's his face in the beginning that wears the mask that like literally he fights you with the wall of dubstep. I'm sorry, but that was totally freaking cool when that went down. I was like, all right. I think the game just went up a couple points for me on this whole fight right here. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's what I love about those games. They're so funny, you know.
Over the
like
top,
the humor is totally up my alley. I love it.
I think it was like face mask or something is what they call them.
Well, as far as games go for me for last year, Ace Combat 7, like Southie was saying, like I just had an absolute blast playing that game. A really good fighter game, awesome soundtrack. Just it really kept you involved. Like it was just a real blast. I really enjoyed that game, and I highly recommend it to anybody out there looking for a good like playing game, fighter game. Also, Devil May Cry 5. I freaking love that.
That was a
game.
great one. There was a lot of good games this year.
There really were. I wasn't really like I was going into that game thinking, oh, you know, I'll give it a shot, right? And I just ended up loving it. Like fast-paced action, story was cool. I mean, you get lost at times with the story, but either way, like it kept you really invigorated, really interested throughout the game, and I just had a blast playing it.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, just it was an interesting game. Yeah, but either way, guys, yeah, there was a lot of good games that came out last year, and it's hard to list off all of them, but you know what? I had a blast playing through pretty much all the games that came out last year. Like, just a lot of quality coming out these days.
It's fucking hot in here. Jesus, my lady has the heater on. It's like 90 degrees. Sweating my ass off.
All right. And on that note, guys, I think we're going to end off the show. And hey, some really good points and conversations had. And hey, thanks to everybody that joined us live. We definitely appreciate the love and support that you show the show. Guys like Jigo Kukin, Dreadpool. Who else do we got here? Victor Alistine. Thank you very much for joining. Dragons TV. Oh, thanks, bud, for showing up again. TLR9.
Yeah,
thanks for joining, bud. 9 Lives.
Don't forget Shinzo.
Yeah, Shinzo
and don't
Elite.
forget Mike Mullis.
Yeah, Mike Mullis, Mr. NLG Gaming. Stinger was here. We had Mr. Boomstick XL drop in from Double Barrel Gaming. A wonderful guy. Definitely check out his content. Oh, Stick Figure also joined us. Z Black Rider. Lots and lots of cool people join us. Thank you very much, guys, for your support. And if you happen to enjoy tonight's content, then please consider subscribing and definitely share this out. We would really like that. Now, on to the outro. Centurion, awesome show tonight. Where can everybody follow you?
You guys can always find me on YouTube, Twitter, and YouTube, Twitter, and wow, I'm having a brain fart. YouTube, Twitter. I know there's a third one out there, but you can always find me at Centurion1307. Xbox Live. There's the other one. Nice. Holy cow. I had a brain fart right now. I don't know where that came from.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
I am not drinking the Kool-Aid, no, because of the fact that I am actually probably got Star Wars hype on my mind, because here in the next hour and a half, I'm going to be sitting in the theater watching the final Star Wars movie of the Skywalker saga. Don't tell me nothing about it. I will freak out and find out whatever state you're in. But no, definitely, I'm ready to see this movie. But anyways,
everybody dies, just to let you know.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But anyways, as always,
it doesn't live up to anybody's predictions or expectations.
Oh man, here's the thing. I don't have my expectations high or anything like that, because I understand that I'm not one of these people that live or die by the decisions of these, movie companies. Was the last movie great? No. But did I completely cry over it and want to burn down Disney? No. But anyways, as always, you guys can find me sitting here with you every Sunday on TXR Podcast. I also do Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays and the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam on Saturdays. And not this Monday, but next Monday, I will be on Boomstick's show, Mr. Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And I also let Invader know that I apologize, gentlemen, but next Sunday I will not be here because my wife decided to go off and have this thing called a birthday out of nowhere.
Damn her.
Damn her, what the hell?
But no, we're going to be...
How dare she?
I'm taking her to a resort for that day and everything else, and we're just going to spend some time together. And so, yeah, I was going to try to bring my laptop with me and actually podcast from the hotel room. But
you know,
she kind of gave me that
wifey,
right. But she gave me that look, and also I can't guarantee if I'm going to be not drunk by that time. So I'm saving you guys from that chaos.
All right.
With more Kool-Aid.
Yes, I like what Jago said. You can find me on MySpace and oh wow, I'm not on that one.
Grinder.
Don't say that around the wife.
Oh, dude.
Tinder.
No. Nope, there is no swiping to the
Wait,
left.
isn't Grinder for the gay community?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All of a sudden see Southbound like writing it down like with a notebook. Like, well,
wait. Southbound. How do you know that? That's my concern.
No, the only reason I know is
no.
before. Let me walk this back for a second. No, that's what I was asking because I wasn't quite sure. I thought Grinder was because you always think of like a meat grinder. You know what I mean? So that's why it kind of.
Yeah, technically it is. Yeah, meat grinder.
I know what it is from watching How to Get Away with Murder. Has anybody seen that show? No.
Now we're talking about how to get.
Yeah, I actually had Rebels. You know what I mean?
And off the tracks.
Yeah.
Next.
All right, Southbound. Hey, buddy, great energy tonight. Where can people find you?
Well, I keep bringing it, brother. But yeah, anybody can hit me up. Southbound 110 on Twitter, or you can hit me up on Xbox Live. Southbound 110. I'm here. What's up? Talk to me.
Definitely. You heard the man. Talk to him. All right, Jeremy, really good stuff tonight. Where can everybody find you?
Under a tree.
Cool. All right, next.
In the middle of nowhere.
Out in a field, frolicking around, chasing sheep.
Yeah.
You guys could find me on Xbox Live, Downer J, or on PlayStation Now. It's Green Knight 07, all one word. Thank you and good night.
Fantastic. All right. Now, Shock Buddy, sorry for the audio issues, obviously, this evening. Where can everybody find you at?
Oh, yeah, no worries. I'll probably try to be on my computer more often. I just had family over, so it's hard to do right now. But you can catch me on at Shock Nero on Twitter and Easy Shock on Xbox Live. And thanks for stopping by.
Easy Shocky.
Yeah, you guys got to have the Borderlands going on at some point.
Yeah, I went on.
We'll see.
We should stream it.
That'd be fun.
That'd be pretty cool.
I even have
we
people
start
that join
doing that like once a week or something. You know what I mean? Do like a stream night.
Yeah, hey, but Megatron and Tim could be on your team because they fucking suck at video games.
Wow.
Well, and you don't? All you do is sit there in the corner and listen to your fucking game soundtracks.
That's a great insult there. Your fucking game soundtracks.
Tune in to TXR every Sundays just to listen to us tear each other down.
That's funny. Good show tonight.
All right, guys, and of course, I'm Invader. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Invader Gaming, and on Twitter at Invader_186. Guys, fantastic show this evening. Thanks to everybody that joined us, and we cannot wait to see you next Sunday. Should be an awesome time. Good night, fellas.
Deuces.